Well, crowdsourcing has always been sort of inbred in me. When I used to run a magazine called Razor, that was a men's lifestyle magazine. It competed against GQ and Esquire, and we used because we didn't have the finances or the funding to compete in a lot of ways with the advertising and marketing of a GQ or an Esquire. We relied on our audience to carry the message of our brand, which in a lot of ways was very simply, one of our slogans was, when Razor magazine is for when you're done with your Maxim years but not ready for your Esquire years. Now, men that read our magazine loved that, and they were carrying the message, and they were like, you got to check out this magazine. So we were crowdsourcing back then. Obviously with Stage 32, it's been the same thing. Like I said earlier, this is, Stage 32 started with 100 of my industry friends. And I asked them straight up, I said, look, you're in now, you're a part of this community. Go invite at least 5 people to come join us to help strengthen this thing. My word of mouth, and this is a big part of crowdsourcing, okay? The word of another in support of you is greater than your word if somebody doesn't know you. So what I was basically saying is, I can go to your colleagues, I can go to your friends, and say, hey, come join Stage 32, but they're gonna be like, who the hell are you? But if you tell them, and you tell them that what I'm doing is worthy of their time, they're gonna say, well, yeah, we're gonna check that out. And that's why we wanted to crowdsource with Stage 32, to ask people to go do that. Well, with this book, it's really been no different. People have known, when I first signed the contracts for this book, and it was about 2 years before it came out, because it was, again, a ton of interviews and a ton of research, but the day I signed the contracts, I let everybody know, I'm doing this, okay? And here's what I need from you. If you've crowdsourced something before, tell me about it. If you've had a failed crowdfunding campaign, if you can't get traction on social media, if you've quit social media, I want to know. It wasn't even so much hearing the success stories as it was hearing the failure stories, because I wanted to be able to help people who had had those failures, on top of knowing that it'd be easier to find the success stories in a lot of ways. I wanted to talk to the people that, had struggled. And what were those struggles? What do you need me to write about? What needs to be in this book? So from day one, from the day I signed the contracts with Focal and Rutledge, it was all about giving people ownership. It was all about going out to people on social media, or people in my, I have a pretty big social media following, so going to those people and saying, look, I'm writing this book, I want you to write me privately. Send me what's going on. If you've had struggles, send them to me. And I started sourcing an audience 2 years before the book went into play, and started letting people know as I was writing the book, look, here are some subjects I'm planning on writing on, here are some chapter titles that I'm working on, what do you think of that? Here's not only a chapter, but what's going to be in the chapter. Is there anything you feel I'm missing under this subject that you feel, would be helpful, or that you've experienced that I'm not covering? And everybody got into it. Everybody was like, wow, this is really, really, really cool. And you had a bunch of confusion with the crowdsourcing, crowdfunding thing, but that also gave me the opportunity to educate people, to say, like, this is what the book is going to be about. But lo and behold, and don't fret, there is going to be stuff about crowdfunding in the book, and there are 2 chapters on crowdfunding. Originally, I wasn't going to put 2 chapters on crowdfunding because I wanted to keep it on the crowdsourcing level, but people were saying to me, if you really believe that there can't be a successful crowdfunding campaign without crowdsourcing, include it in the book, do a couple of chapters. So I did, but that came from the audience. So, I learned from Razor and from Stage 32 that this works, and this is absolutely important. And I did not want to write this book in a vacuum. I wanted to write it with contributions from Stage 32 members, my Twitter followers, my Instagram followers, everybody. And there's a lot of everybody in this book, which is great.